It is Friday, September 26th. This is the Christian Commute. I am your host, Seth Dunn, and you're riding with me out of the Calhoun Walmart, of all places. I don't think I've ever started a show at the Calhoun Walmart. And you want to know something? I don't like this Walmart. Let me tell you about something about Calhoun, because I've worked here. I've worked here I did work here for 8 years. Now I work in Dalton. You cannot buy a youth-sized tennis racket at the Calhoun Walmart. Now, what's that tell you about this town? You also can't buy a Ralph Lauren polo shirt except at the Polo Outlet. What's that tell you about Calhoun? What's it tell you? No youth tennis rackets at the Walmart. It's not a Walmart Supercenter either. It's just a Walmart. It might be the very last non-Walmart Supercenter. And I was at Walmart because I ate dinner at Dub's High on the Hog Barbecue, which means there will be pauses for my half and half tea. Which that was one. I had to go to Walmart to buy a USB cable. I am in the Kia. The Studio, is this Studio F? No, A, B, C, F, G, D, E, F. I think this is Studio E. And you might think, Seth, why aren't you driving your new Ford F-150? New to you. Your big truck with a big crew cab just cruising along. And the reason is, it gets 16 miles to the gallon, just like my other Ford F-150. So it was a pricey commute week last week. So I drove the Kia today. I just had a new radio installed because the other radio quit. So I have a new touchscreen radio installed, and that is the reason I needed a USB cable so I could use the phone app. Pioneer has some app, it's a Pioneer radio, and it has some app where it'll connect to your phone, you can navigate and do all that kind of stuff. And I'm using it right now to mirror my phone. And I don't know if I'm using my phone's microphone or the microphone that came with my new radio. But that's what I'm recording on right now. I think the sound quality is okay. I checked it because I didn't bring a little microphone with me. So that's what I'm doing. And now the Kia, now that I've put this new radio in, it's officially for sale. So if anybody out there in listener land wants a podcast used 2010 Kia Soul with 181,000 miles on it and a brand new Pioneer radio, you can write me. I'll sell it to you. $2,500. So basically, I'm going to drive this car until somebody gives me $2,500 for it. I'm going to sell at the price I want to sell it and use my new radio. I went to the radio store, and they're like, what kind of radio you want? And I was like, well, don't put a Pioneer in there. I don't need an Alpine or a Pioneer. That's like parking a Cadillac in the ghetto. And I shopped around. And one of the radio guys in town was going to put a Jensen radio in there. I don't know if that's a good radio. I never heard of it. I just wanted it done on the cheap. And I got there. He's like, I put a Pioneer in it for you. And I'm like, all right, thank you very much. So my new radio is worth about, I don't know, 10%, a little less than 10% of what the car is worth. But I'm adding value. So that's what's going on. Thursday, of course, I told you guys that I had an MRI. So I worked from home. I was actually very busy today. Today I'm going to go home if I'm not well, you know what? I might watch the second half of Cartersville High School. I'm teaching through chapter 2 of the London Baptist Confession right now in Sunday school. So if any of you people are local, you should come join me for that at my church. Today's show title is Ergen and Emir Caner I told you so. This is a big ol' I told you so show. And it's not so much as about I told you so 10 years ago, is remember when I told you so 10 years ago and you didn't do anything? Y'all should listen to me now. Of course, I may be podcasting to the choir. There's no question in the inbox. If anybody has a question about Christian theology or apologetics, you can dial 470-315-0875. It's the Christian Commute Roadside Assistance Line. Or you can use the computer or your smartphone. You can email me your question about Christian theology and apologetics. You can email me at sethdunn88@gmail.com. Just keep your question short enough for me to memorize. Tell me where you're from. Try to make it about Christian theology and apologetics and not my opinion on something. And I haven't got a question in a long, good while. We always have the Bible chapter review. I haven't even touched the Old Testament yet, but we are almost finished with the New Testament. We're in the Gospels, we're in Luke, and we're still in Luke chapter 9. We're in verses 16 through, I can't read my handwriting, I think that's an 18. And for you newer listeners, no, I'm not riding down the road reading a book. My Bible's not in my hand. I have show notes taped to my steering wheel. Well, they're not taped, they're on a sticky note. So let's get right to the Bible chapter review. And I want to preface this. Remember, we just got through with Peter, James, and John witnessing the transfiguration. And we just got through with Jesus telling them he's got to be handed over. And they didn't really get it. So just keep that in mind as we continue. An argument started among them as to which of them might be the greatest. But Jesus, knowing what they were thinking in their heart, took a child and stood him by his side and said to them, "Whoever receives this child in my name receives me, and whoever receives me receives him who sent me. For the one who is least among all of you, this is the one who is great." Luke chapter 9, verse 16 through 18. So, Jesus has just told them he's going to be handed over. And immediately, they start arguing about who's the greatest. Because they're still in the mindset of Florida State undefeated, not Florida State 2-10. Now, we know Jesus is going to come back from the dead later. We know he's the king. And he's going to rule, and he beats death. All right? And now, new song. Death, where is your sting? Hell has been defeated. The grave could not hold the king. We know that's coming. Okay? But keep in mind, these guys should have been considering that Jesus has humbled himself and taken on flesh. Like it says, I mean, I know this part of the Bible wasn't written yet, but the Bible says, I think it's Philippians, that Christ humbled himself and he didn't consider equality with God something to be grasped. But here Jesus has humbled himself even to the point of being handed over to the scribes and the chief priests and being crucified by the Romans. And he's told his disciples it's about to happen. But now they're arguing who's going to be the greatest. Because now all the people are still fawning all over Jesus. Who's going to be the greatest in our little club, in our little group of people as the Messiah takes over here? They have a totally wrong mindset. They are missing what's going on before them. And Jesus is trying to make the point to them, y'all got to humble yourselves. And he is being the number one example of humbling himself here. Don't act like you want to rule over everybody and be in charge. You got to be like a little child. Being like a little child is being greatest in the kingdom. And we have a bunch of little prince and princesses now in our modern society where we're going to spend a fortune on our kids' travel ball and then the fortune on their sports lessons so they get more playing time in travel ball. And we're going to buy them cell phones and a bunch of clothes, and we can't stand it if they're upset. We're a long way from Victorian England, where children would be seen and not heard. Like, people even talk to their kids back then. But we're in the ancient world where kids have absolutely no power. They don't really have power now, other than the power we as parents give them to cater to their every need. This is back in the day when people had 10 kids, and you're lucky if half of them survived being toddlers. You could use them as like slave labor. They had slaves back then, but your kids could be your slave labor if you weren't the firstborn. Tough for you. So kids were even less thought of then than they are now. Nobody's catering to them and considering them great. But Jesus is saying, you got to receive a child in my name is like receiving me. And then receiving me is like receiving the one who sent me. That'd be God the Father. So you got this transitive argument. You're receiving God the Father if you're receiving a little child. But the little child is least. These are the least people. So stop trying to argue over who's going to be the leader. That's wrong-headed. Have the mindset of a child. Be humble and be ready to be led. Be ready to be humbled. That's greatness in the kingdom of God. And with that, we'll end the Bible chapter review. And now let's talk about two people I think are very arrogant. Emir and Emir Caner, who were great in the kingdom of the Georgia Baptist Convention. There was a time a decade ago where 2 out of the 3 Georgia Baptist colleges were led by a Caner brother. Emir Caner was the president of Truett-McConnell College, now Truett-McConnell University, and his brother became president of Bruton-Parker College. Now, I'm sorry, these are not the colleges where your Rhodes Scholar successful students are going, okay? Georgia Baptist colleges are full of third-rate athletes. So these are people not good enough to play Division I or Division II, but still smarter than your average bear, better than your average bear at wrestling or baseball, and they can play college ball at the NAIA level, and they go to these little tiny Georgia Baptist colleges, where these are tiny colleges to begin with, so like the sports teams could be 25 or 50% of the students. The other half, the people who are good students, like could have gone to other colleges, or like the real churchy people, are like, well, I don't want to go to those secular schools. I want to go to a Christian school. Good for them. I understand. And then the other half are people that are not Christians, that are just, not fit to get into the University of Georgia. We got a lot of colleges in Georgia. Not everybody's going to go to Georgia Tech or the University of Georgia. But you can go to West Georgia. You can go to Georgia Southern. They'll let anybody in. And we got Valdosta, Georgia State. I don't know how. We got so many colleges. They'll let you in. But some people, the saying used to be, screw it, go to Truett. So these are colleges of low academic reputation. And to Emir Caner's credit, he has really improved the reputation and scope and profitability of Truett-McConnell during his tenure here. But they're awful people. They're both just awful people, and they're phonies, and they will lie to you. They're just awful. Emir Caner is a charlatan who went around after 9/11 speaking at churches, saying he was trained in a madrasa to be an Islamic terrorist, pretending that he spoke Arabic when he doesn't, claiming that he learned English from watching the Dukes of Hazzard and Georgia Championship Wrestling on American TV in Turkey, when almost none of that is true. The only true thing about these guys' testimony is that their father was Muslim and they were raised Muslim. Emir was this huge liar, and he got caught being a huge liar, and the Georgia Baptist Convention still hired him to be the president of one of their second-rate colleges. A second-rate college that had already been steeped in scandal for defrauding the federal government in the grant money program. These colleges would not exist without federal government subsidies and student loans for their low-rate students who go there. And the Georgia Baptists act like, oh, we have these colleges because it's a ministry. We're witnessing to these kids. We have unchurched kids come to these colleges and they get saved. Like, okay, like y'all ain't got a million Georgia Baptist churches to do that. But that's what they say. But they really exist to provide jobs for Georgia Baptist insiders. Cushy little chaplaincy and professor jobs. And these guys are all bivocational for the most part. It's just some place to pay each other off. A very small percentage of the students at arguably colleges that are diploma mills are ministers. So the biggest thing that they do from a Christian perspective is they train ministers. They give them Bible college degrees, which is a good degree to have before you go to seminary. Like, I went to seminary with a secular college degree, so I was a little behind everybody else in my theological education. Just like when I got my master's of accounting, I didn't have an undergrad in accounting. I had to take some accounting undergraduate courses first before I could take my graduate level accounting courses. So it's sort of the same thing. And I mean, they do a pretty good job of that, getting the little percentage of people who are going to go be Baptist pastors. But everything else is just a waste of your Georgia Baptist money. And that's without any Caner brothers. That's without any Caner brothers. Sorry, not sorry if you went there. I know I have listeners to this program who went there. If you want to go get a music degree at one of these places and play church music, have at it. If you want to get a math degree, don't come to me with your resume. I'm like, no, I'm sorry, I want somebody from real college in a business. That's just my opinion. By the way, I don't hire people. No one works for me. It's a blissful existence, quite frankly. I'm just in my own little office doing my projects. But anyway, I digress. Of this college of low repute in South Georgia that was about to go out of business and was on Sachs probation, they put Emir Caner in charge, knowing that he was a proven liar and proven charlatan. But that doesn't matter in Georgia Baptist world. What matters is if you can spin a good yarn from the pulpit and seem really conservative. Well, Emir Caner went there and crashed and burned. Used the F word, used the N word. I mean, just horrible. Eventually would not resign and finally was accused of having an affair with a librarian. He left. Now, do you know who knew he was a phony the whole time? His brother, Emir Caner. And Emir Caner never publicly called him out during all this controversy. Guys, Jill Caner, Ergen's ex-wife, and Emir Caner knew. And privately, maybe they're saying something to him. But publicly, no. So Emir Caner was not as much of a charlatan as Ergen, but is still cut from the same cloth. I used to be a Muslim, here's my testimony. But if you ever listen to an Emir Caner testimony, and I have, it's a bunch of off-color jokes about Arabic women having facial hair. I mean, he's a jerk. He gets up in the pulpit and makes fun of everybody but who's in the church. That's preaching. Now, is he scholarly? Yes, he's a scholar of Anabaptist history. Good for him. Has he proven to be a capable administrator? Yes. But he's from the same dirtbag family as his brother. And for years, I was sounding the alarm like, Georgia Baptist, why are you hiring these dirtbags? And nobody would listen to me, or a few people would listen to me. Thank you, Jeff Dickerson. I know you listen to me. But a lot of people wouldn't listen. And I came to the point where thinking, well, you know what? The Georgia Baptist Convention is really corrupt. The Caner brothers are corrupt. Johnny Hunt's corrupt. He's pushing the Caner brothers. And you know what? Emir Caner fired Johnny Hunt, his what would they call it? Pastor emeritus taken away from him at Woodstock after his scandal. Turned out he was a dirtbag. I was right about him. Turns out Emir Caner was a dirtbag. I was right about him. Told you so. Told you so. Now Emir Caner has finally been dismissed from the presidency of Truett-McConnell University. But wait, Seth, I thought he was doing a good job. Well, he was doing a good job at everything except managing Brad Reynolds. Now, I've talked about this already, so I'm not going to go over it much again. There was a student, a soccer player, and later an employee of Truett-McConnell University who was, depending on who you ask, having an affair with Brad Reynolds or being groomed and sexually abused by Brad Reynolds because he was older in a position of authority. I don't want to get into that, or you want to call it, she was a grown woman, 18 plus years old, whatever you want to call it, okay? Inappropriate, adulterous in any case. People start to notice around campus. Emir Caner doesn't do anything about it except tell people to stop talking about it. This is documented. Well, the girl finally comes forward with her story, goes to the police, criminal charges can't be filed. Whether something criminal happened or not, I couldn't tell you. I would say no. If I was on the jury, I would not convict. I can say that based on what I know. But statute of limitations was up anyway. It's been old news. Well, how did Emir Caner handle this scandal? Not just when it came out, but when it was going on under his watch as the president of a university that has all these Title IX rules because they got federal money, right? Well, the Board of Trustees at Truett hired a third-party investigator. The report of the third-party investigator came out, and the Board of Trustees voted to get rid of Emir Caner. So bye-bye, Emir, and your $180,000 a year salary from that. And to that I say, I told you so, Georgia Baptist. When you keep people of low character in leadership, this stuff will happen. So here's yet another black eye in Georgia Baptist world. Emir, Ergen, Johnny Hunt, whatever. And I told you so about every one of these dirtbags. Shit, you shouldn't talk. They're dirtbags. Okay? Whitewashed tomb, brood of viper, dirtbag. They're scumbags. They're dirtbags. They make a big living off of preaching to itch and ear type people who want to hear pulpit pounding and ear tickle stuff, and we're going to crush the liberals and we're going to do this. I don't want the liberals in charge. The liberals are awful, but they're dirtbags. The Georgia Baptist Convention is their piggy bank, and your pennies go in it. And I've been telling you guys for a decade specifically that these three people were dirtbags. And all it did was make me anathema to the Baptist where I live. I don't listen to him, blah, blah, blah. But I was right, and I told you so. Now, the Caner brothers always land on their feet. And I'm sure Emir is going to land on his feet, and when he does, he'll step on somebody's toes. He'll end up some preacher or some provost at some school. Look for Criswell College in Texas. Look for somewhere in Louisiana. That's where they look the other way on character issues if somebody can draw money. If these guys could wrestle, they'd be in the WWF. But you longtime listeners of this show, you already know what dirtbags they are because I've told you on the show and I've blogged about it for years. You can read my blog, long-form journalism type stuff, Ergen Caner and the Kingmakers. That's a good one. You can go to my personal WordPress blog and read about Emir Caner preaching at Rolling Springs Baptist Church, the demonic cult of Freemasonry, back when I was about to join that church. You can look these guys up. But these are the type of people who keep rising to power in the Georgia Baptist Convention, making a mint along the way. These are the kind of people, listen, Emir Caner, does he seem like the kind of person who'd look the other way while his good buddy Brad Reynolds was having a sexual relationship with a student and later employee? Yes. Why do I think that? Because he looked the other way on his charlatan brother. These are the kind of people, they're like thieves, honor among thieves. Thugs don't tell on other thugs. I ain't talking to no police. That's how they are. They're all such scumbags, they hold one another's secrets. Because they don't want to be out of ministry and have to get a real job. None of these guys would make it at Waffle House or working at Walmart. God forbid they do some real work. But listen, listeners. Listen, listeners. This is the story. So all that stuff is me saying those guys are scumbags are decades old. And then what does history do? It vindicates me. Told y'all so, told y'all so, told y'all so. So where am I at now? Let's look at Y Project. And some of this is for you in-town Cartersville people. Here I am for 5 years sitting on the sofa in the lobby of First Baptist Church of Cartersville for an hour while my kids are in Sunday school, and then going to my grown-up Sunday school class. All right? Not going to go in and listen to the music, which I think they stopped playing that bad music there. I think all the Bethel stuff has finally been banned. So this is not a sarcastic golf clap. This is a real, non-sarcastic 80s movie, slow clap for whoever's been in charge of the music over there for finally getting rid of the Bethel and Elevation and Hillsong. Praise God that they did the right thing. But I'd sit on the sofa over there and say, this is not a church I'm going to join because they allow Freemasons here, and I'm not going to go to their worship service because I'm just going to be pissed off while they have a fog machine and play Hillsong. Not going to do it. Like the old George Bush SNL character, Dana Harvey, not going to do it. Wouldn't be prudent. I'm just going to sit here and mind my business, and I'm not going to complain at them for it. They're wrong, and they can just be wrong. All right? Praise God in His sovereignty, it worked out that it turns out there was, my church is tiny, guys. You'd pass it and never know it was there. But there is a Reformed Baptist church in Cartersville where me and the 7 other people who think like me can go to church in peace that I've joined. But here I am sitting there for 5 years. I have relationships there with people. Okay, relationships that are important to me. And then I make my Y Crosspoint website. And put it on a billboard. And what's the first thing First Baptist Church does? I mean, the week. Here come the elders. Seth, you can't come to church here anymore because this. You'd have to, if you want to come to church here, you can't have this billboard. You can't have this website. Why, guys? Because I was wrong about Emir Caner. Because I was wrong about Emir Caner. Because I was wrong about Johnny Hunt. Because I was wrong about let me throw in Frank Page at that. Is Frank Page or Frank? What's that, guys? Not Frank Page. The guy from Gwinnett. The guy who says angels visited him. I mean, another Georgia Baptist superstar. All y'all do is trot in the Georgia Baptist All-Stars around here as guest preachers and Georgia Baptist catalysts. All y'all do is fund the corrupt Georgia Baptist Convention. And I've been right about all this corruption, and y'all won't listen to me. And now y'all are saying, oh, Seth, you're wrong. You're wrong for this Crosspoint site. Hey, you know what? Maybe I'm right about them too, and you just don't like it. Like when I made my Rockbridge site about Matt Evans, it was there for a year or two. I mean, the sermon reviews got to be 4 years old. So somebody finally comes to me and says, oh, here's all this information. They're liars. They lie to you in HR reviews. They'll just lie to their employees. They cycle through people like crazy. They're dishonest and they're liars. And they have NDAs. And let me tell you. Oh, you know what? I didn't know that guy from Adam. I could just see that his church is a scheme. And it looks good to a bunch of people. And I made a website. And guess what? I was right. My Rockbridge website is not Matt Evans and his leadership team are dirtbags. That's not what it says. I don't know those guys. The website is, this is Ayatollah of Rock and Roll, the seeker-sensitive goat church in the Purple Haze, pastored by Pastor Electric Blue, okay? That's what it looks like to me. Probably there's problems inside, all right? If an apple's rotten on the outside, how much more rotten is it going to look on the inside? If you got a black banana and you unpeel that thing, what are you going to find? So now I got people coming to me, tell me that, and that. All right, I'm right about Rockbridge. You know what? I'm right about Crosspoint. Whether you people want to see it or not, and you don't like the optics, how long are you going to cry about optics and just want to shut people like me up? What time is it? It's 8:48. I'm on autistic tilt right now. Shut people like me up when I was right. So what I'm saying is batting average, okay? If I batted 350 last year and I'm a free agent, you're going to sign me to a $10 million contract in the Major League Baseball if I'm 29 years old, right? If I'm 25. If I'm 40, you're not going to sign the big contract. If I batted 200 last year, I'm going to be a spring training non-roster invitee who might get a minor league contract. Because what do you do when you're signing baseball players? You judge them by their past performance. What'd you do last year? Are you healthy? So what have I done? I've just batted 1,000 on people like Ergen, Emir, Johnny, Greg Locke, Clayton Jennings, scumbag after scumbag that everybody makes a website and YouTube preacher out of. Right, and y'all don't want to listen and say, we don't ignore this guy at the Georgia Baptist Convention. He could put his seminary degree in the wastebasket. We'll never have him teach Sunday school or come preach here. Don't want to listen to him. He's saying negative things. No, I'm telling y'all the truth. And some of y'all right here in Cartersville don't want to listen about what I'm saying about Crosspoint. Think about this. An entire church, and when I say entire church, I mean the 4 or 5 elders in charge of it. Most of the 1,000 people there don't even know this. And many of them would probably not support it. So when I say an entire church, I'm talking about the most influential people there. The people with what Randy Savage would call major stroke. All right? I'm not leaving till I talk to people with some major stroke. So let me turn this into a promo, okay? I'm the cream of the crop, and I've been telling you about these charlatans. But people with the major stroke, yeah, said, Seth, get away. We don't want you there. Don't even come. Don't even come sit in the couch near the Freemasons. All right? So all y'all people with major stroke at the church that doesn't even want me there, because I made a website about the goat church that steals members from you, you don't even want me there, you're wrong. I was right before, and I proved it, and I'm right now, and it'll be proved in 5 years or 10 years. I think it's proven right now. You got churches with the people in charge, all they care about is money. Sometimes I feel like the Joker from Batman 3. All you care about is money. I'm a man of simple taste. All you care about is money. And that's what you are, power brokers. You care about money and reputation, or you would just beam when you saw somebody like me coming along. But you don't. You just look away from the corruption and how it looks in town. You don't have the guts. You don't have the guts and the conviction yourself to tell somebody, not even in private probably, that you shouldn't go to that goat church over there. Forget making a website. Forget making a billboard. I know that's extreme. But you don't have the guts to tell somebody that's a goat church. Go to Seth's website. He's right. God forbid it takes away from your influence of whatever, lawyer, insurance salesman, you real estate agent job you have to actually tell somebody they're walking through the rye over the cliff and you won't catch them. And if somebody's trying to stop it, well, we won't have anything to do with you. You can't even sit here. Hey, pew sitters, why do you keep following people like that? Why do you keep putting them in charge? And to expand this away from Cartersville, don't you think this happens all over Georgia and your town? That's why we have Jeff Org, the president of the SBC Executive Committee, right now, telling people stuff. I can't make this up. Not Robert Tilton. I can't make this stuff up. I've seen midgets grow. I can't make this up. Jeff York said that if churches don't give to the CP, but instead pick whatever entities they want to give to, that's something called expressive individualism, a problem of our time, the same mindset that causes transgenderism. That's literally what the guy in charge said. These corrupt greedy people will say anything to keep your money, but it's never the truth. And guess what, guys? I told you so on Jeff York, too. How long are you going to keep telling people so and not listening? And I know some of you who listen to my program, because it ain't about me. I know some of you who listen to this program are the people in your church, in your state, in your county, who say, I read this on Pulpit and Pen. I saw this on Protestia. We got to do something. And the real estate agent who runs your church won't do it. Well, maybe it's time to stop following the influence of that lawyer or that insurance agent or that car salesman or whoever cares more about economic influence in your town and Southern charm than telling somebody the truth. Told you so. And listen, church people, and I'm not talking to a local church, I'm talking about Church Universal, Little C Catholic. Christians, brothers, I'm going to keep telling y'all so. I'm going to keep telling y'all so till I die or can't do this podcast anymore for some other reason. All right? And you guys keep telling people so, because I promise you, there's somebody out there. There's the one in the 99 who will listen, and it will make a difference for him, and it will make a difference for his family. Thanks for listening to The Christian Commute. Lord willing, I'll be back with you again Tuesday. As always, God bless. And, well, I guess God should bless anybody, but good night to everybody except the Caner brothers. Good luck to you. Thanks for listening to The Christian Commute. Lord willing, I'll be back with you again Tuesday. Remember, Christianity is not about getting saved. It's about being saved.